So like men becoming women would have to grow ovaries.
Have you seen? So has anyone of you seen a woman who chose to become a man?
Yes. Like in person.
In
like
person.
We know.
In person.
No.
Not in person. Like generally, I've always
There
seen
are
men.
women.
You come from the west side, the left side, the right brain.
The other way around. It's
Wako.
very rare.
No, they're there. They're just. It's not as vocalized.
Do you think there are as many?
So
as
ask
the other
yourself
side?
why.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So I always take those things with a pinch of salt. Why are you pushing the agenda for a specific transition and not the other?
Or the other side.
When you think about it at gay rights, a lot of times, primarily when you think gay rights, you think men first. A lot of times, and that's why.
That's true.
And I always think we're still in a man's world.
Back.
Because we're still living in a man's
You're
world. Yeah?
back. You're cut off.
Even when you're talking about alternative.
Yeah.
Even. After when you're talking about alternative sexualities and alternative genders, you will think male first.
True.
When you're talking about
I'm
gay
thinking of it,
relationships,
yeah.
you think male first. When you think about transgender
You
persons, you think male to women first. So we still live in a man's world.
And I think also it has a lot to do with that conversation, the way it is structured or the way it is done a lot. It has a lot to do with sex.
Yes.
So when people are thinking about gaysing, lesbianism isn't really that shocking because women, we think of them as sexual objects. But now as a man, doing that with another man, it becomes like,
It's frowned upon.
it's frowned upon more, which is an issue because to begin with, I am heterosexual, but because I know you're straight, I don't first of all go to think who are you sleeping with and what sexual positions are you in.
This is extremely inappropriate. That is so inappropriate. No.
Do you know I realized
Sexually.
I had to call myself out for nilikuwa na watch now what was the social media platform, I can't remember. I think ilikuwa YouTube. I was watching the artist, and then alikuwa na interview a fellow makeup artist and
Yes, I know him.
so mi sikuwa hata najua ni makeup artist. Juu alianza tu na kumpaka makeup, along the way ndio nikalani makeup art, but before I learned mi nikafikiria maybe anaenda kushoot video or something. So after I learned ni makeup artist, I was like, oh my god, so is he gay? Anza nikashanga, why do I care? What does it matter? Well, juu nikajiambia, a guy who has confidence to paka makeup and take a picture, you can't
In this our Kenya.
and nikajiuliza, why do I care about, why is that relevant?
He could be queer.
Hata kama ni gay, why do I have to classify him?
Yeah.
Why is it necessary to do that? Because niliona I do that unconsciously.
I think we've all been
It's
socialized.
socialization.
You had me
Because
asking
now-
about because
Oh,
of the way
yeah.
she carries herself, and we've been socialized to understand that when a woman carries herself this or a man carries himself in this manner, or he does 1, 2, 3 things that are not normal according to society,
Then you
we
question.
should ask.
Yeah.
So
Because we like to put things in labels.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
But even
categories and
when,
boxes.
but here's the thing though, I am not against people because it's human nature to categorize things. It's
Because it
how
makes
we
sense to
name
you.
things.
Yeah.
It's how we make sense of things. And I'm not for demonizing labels because that's how we learn our world, right? The problem is how you use the label.
Yeah.
So in my mind, like sasa kwa hiyo nini, I also looked at him and at first, I was like, is he gay? But then I was like, he could be pan, he could be queer, he may not be a he.
He could be a man who has
He could be a they.
True.
And to be gay does not
And
necessarily
he could be a guy
mean to
who
be
likes,
feminine.
yeah.
Because there are gay guys who are
Why
very
not?
masculine.
So I was like, we rounded up to none of your business. You know what I'm saying?
You really don't need to know.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Nothing to do with you.
It's nothing.
Mind your own private part.
Yeah, just focus on the lipstick.
For me, ilikuwa inanibother juu nilikuwa na wonder, am I being a homophobe bila kujua? Like, why is it a concern for me? Am I like Is
I
that
think I have a-
am I, is that
I have
being
a-
homophobic indirectly?
I have a problem
Like,
with
see
that
at
as well.
See at I don't like them. Yeah, I accommodate them, but why do I need to know them?
Here's
Why
the
do I
thing.
need to identify them?
The
Now how they
problem
affect-
with that, with the way conversations have been framed or are being framed around alternative sexualities and genders, is we are living in a world where you have to agree with me.
Oh, yes.
And the only way we'll get along is if you agree with me, and that's not realistic.
It isn't.
So in the story, I could misuse labels. So just because for example, I do not agree with someone's lifestyle, then automatically it makes me hateful. It makes me a homophobe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that is homophobic.
That is not correct. I think, and in many ways, the community, the LGBTQ community, loses allies because of that. So I may be anti-discrimination. Yes, I may not agree. There are people I don't agree with their lifestyle, but I will not stand by if there's injustice being meted against you just because of that lifestyle.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good point.
It's the same thing with, let's say, let's pick something trivial like somebody who likes what?
Alcohol.
Yeah, someone who drinks. So you have friends who don't drink. You've had friends who don't drink. So imagine a situation where that is so politicized, and you become hypersensitive to it, such that if you do not agree with their lifestyle, then you're a person who doesn't drink alcohol phobe. It
You're
just sounds
anti that.
ridiculous.
And then also
Right.
there's that thing of I also don't like the conversation of just because, for example, I think the LGBTQ community should have I plus whatever should have their rights. That means so you're okay with it. You're how
Like you're
what
supporting it.
like I think it's
In
the
what
most
capacity
arrogant
are you?
thing to think that I have the capacity to approve of someone's sexual lifestyle.
Encourage. I think the word is encourage.
Like mimi nina approve kama nani. I have zero like
Yours is respect.
with what,
You're respecting
what
the
authority?
choices.
Hey,
With
with what authority do I start to say I don't approve of your lifestyle?
And so
As
this
in,
is the
me,
law.
I'm still dealing with myself and my sexual whatever. Do I have the energy and the time to start thinking, who is Bree sleeping with, and in what positions do they sleeping together in? As in,
I find that's very
it's none of my
inappropriate,
business.
especially when people reduce sexuality to
Sex.
To sex.
Yeah.
Because
Because
there's more to
sexuality is a
it.
lot more. It's mental, it's physical, it's emotional. Even when people refuse that it's emotional. So like there's a lot of there's so many small interconnected pieces. So when you reduce sexuality to sex, you're trivializing a very strong and central part of being.
Which also now begs the question of, for example, the religious angle, where people now use the religious angle to say, but the Bible says, but the Quran says, but the whatever says. My question is, do you condemn adultery the same way? Do you condemn fornication the same way?
But
Because
that
they are
was-
categorized the
it's
same.
still
That
sexual
also
sin.
begs the
It is
question.
categorized the same. So
if
the
me I
same
fornicate,
pressure.
on what
You're
ground
the
do I
same.
stand on to start to say
Yeah.
you shouldn't?
Oh no, you're a
That also begs the
Yeah.
question. You see, the way Christians phrase it, it's like homosexuality never existed before.
Yes.
It's like something that
It's
was
something
brought
about,
about by
yeah.
westernization. But if you look at the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah, what was happening at the time?
Yeah.
It was there in times, and people just refused to acknowledge
To
it.
acknowledge it.
Yes, it is a sin, like you said. We should condemn fornication, adultery, and everything in the same.
They're the same.
And then on top
In
of that,
fact, they're categorized actually as sins of the flesh.
Yes,
and the sins of the
absolutely.
flesh, there is fornication, homosexuality, masturbation, bestiality, and
Adultery.
But we pick and choose what to condemn and.
this one, many of us
Yeah.
do.
You
Let
can
us.
agree.
This
Yeah.
one, this one I'm doing,
Yeah.
so I won't condemn.
And then it also makes it seem like, okay, even the the church looks at romantic relationships as to do with sex only.
Like there's no
So,
nothing.
Which
more
is
than
why
that.
relations between let's even say heterosexual relations between men and women become weird because how are you relating with one another if you're not engaging in sex?
Like you can't be platonic.
You
How is
cannot
that
be platonic.
possible?
How is that possible?
No,
Because
what
every
is a
relation is
platonic?
made to seem sexual.
What are platonic, and this is what I like about some of the way, like part of the way relationships have been taught in some of the churches I've been to, in the Catholic churches I've been to, by the priests I've had the chance to interact with. And what I've learned from some of those particular priests is you can be in a relationship with someone, right? But what we are encouraging, and they stress that, it's like, we understand, there's the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
And we get the flesh is weak. Right? Even them as priests, sometimes they fall to those things, even mentally. So they maintain that path through prayer. So they say they encourage chastity, because there's a difference between being, there's a difference between just being celibate and being chaste.
Oh, yes.
So there's celibacy without chastity, but which means you essentially entertain.
Pornography.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the sixth one.
Oh, yeah, right. Pornography.
So-
There's doing things with a guy but not penetrating.
Yes.
So you say, but God, I did not.
Yeah, I did not.
Not
But you're not
penetrating.
you're not chaste.
You're
But
not
you're
chaste,
celibate.
But you're celibate.
You're celibate.
Your hymen
But
is
you're not
intact,
chaste.
but
Yeah, that's where the whole idea of virginhood comes in. People
Yeah.
who've never been penetrated but have done a bunch of things.
Yeah,
virginhood.
yeah. I think I've heard.
So
of that.
there's that you can be celibate or you can be a virgin, but you're not chaste.
Mm.
So what they stress, like as far as some of the teachings that I've received, is try as much as possible to maintain chastity, even in that kind of relationship where you're cutting each other.
Don't lie, don't lie, don't lie to me. Don't fry